a 10-hour layover in Cairo, so we took that time to visit the pyramid complex at Giza. What you're seeing here is the Great Pyramid. It's the oldest of the 7 wonders of the world. It was built around 2500 BC. Here are some of the close-ups, and you could do some climbing around on the pyramid as well. It was built by the Pharaoh Khufu, and again, right there you see an entrance. You can climb inside, but we didn't have enough time for that. And we took some time to walk around the complex. The Great Pyramid is the largest of the 3 there, which you can see as well, but they had some pyramids for the queen. And then we took a camel ride and managed to stay on the camels the entire time. Here we have the house where Chris and Kara are staying. It's a 2-story house given to them by the government. Here's Obi, a little corgi that they have adopted. And then these are gates that are in the neighborhood. I did some walking, and you can see the various houses and gates for the compounds around them. We flew from Addis to Cape Town, and our very first stop was Table Mountain. Here we are driving up to Table Mountain. The way to get to the top of Table Mountain is the cable car, and we took the cable car up. It actually rotates 360 degrees as it's taking you up, and at the top is a magnificent view of Cape Town and the harbor out below. And you'll see views from all different sides. As we were at the top, we were getting ready to watch the sunset. We traveled down to the V&A waterfront, which is what's pictured here. And this is a view looking back at Table Mountain, as you can see in the background there. But we were there to take the ferry to Robins Island, which was where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years. This is the church. It's no longer in use, but it is still there on the island. Next, here is some of the prison cells that were converted into dog kennels later. This is not where Mandela stayed, but this is what they looked like. And coming up next is here's the courtyard, and Nelson Mandela's cell is probably that first one on the left. This was the courtyard where they were allowed to come out for a couple hours a day. This is Nelson Mandela's cell. You can see he doesn't even have a bed. It was just a mat on the floor and a small table. District 6 was an area by the waterfront comprised completely of black people, that the whites wanted that area, so they completely displaced all of the blacks to other areas and took it over. But here is what one of the houses looked like. This is a house for 8 people, just that room. We made our trip drive down to the Cape of Good Hope. It's a national park, and we're at not quite the most southernmost point in Africa. And you will be seeing views, first of all, from the top. They tell you all the distances to various locations from Cape Point, South Africa. We also were there at the lighthouse. This was the old lighthouse. However, it was put too far up on the hill and too far back. There were so many crashes that they had to build a new lighthouse, which is coming up into this next picture right now is the new one, which we can't get to, but we did some walking. Boulders Beach is part of Table Mountain National Park, and it's where the penguins are, so it's quite a well-known beach. These penguins are South African penguins, a unique species which we were told was only found on South Africa's coast right there, but had found out later that they're also over in the Galapagos, but they certainly were cute. Coming up next is Muizenberg Beach. This was a little bit further north from Boulders, and it's known for its primary colored bathing chalets up and down the beach. Chris and Carol tested out the water, but these chalets, you'll also see at this one there's a flag, and it tells you whether there are any sharks. If it would have been a white flag, that meant sharks were in the water. So these are very famous bathhouses, but they're very plain inside. Next we come to the Kirstenbosch Gardens, which is nestled just below the Table Mountains, and you can see the variety of plants that they have. This silver tree is unique to South Africa. You will only find it there. They also had a canopy walkway that you were at the treetop level through the gardens. This is Bocap area in Cape Town. It was emancipated slaves that lived here, and it's known for its decorated, multicolored buildings. Next, we traveled to Stellenbosch, home of hundreds of wineries. This is the town of Stellenbosch, and one of our first stops was a brandy distillery, actually. And here you can see us at the beginning of the tour. And in this next one, this was at the end after many glasses of brandy, including 15-year brandy, and we had had quite a bit to drink. Ernie Els has his winery, as he is from South Africa, and it's very distinct with his putting green there to the left of the picture, but you can see it there in the background of the mountains. It's a beautiful setting. This next one is another winery. Oh, this is still Ernie Els, sorry. There's that putting green. The great scenery. This is the Lazarock winery, one of the oldest in South Africa, and Chris and Kara were very proud owners of Pinotage, which is only made there at Lazarock. And then we also went to a sparkling wine vineyard that was delicious. There's the view out from there. This picture is the Paul Ellis Winery with the Simon on the Mountain background. Then we came to Boschendal Winery, again one of the older wineries in South Africa. This is the oldest manor house in South Africa around the 1600s, and they have a statue of a woman sitting on the jawbone of a whale meditating, probably on wine for all I know. This next one is one of the smaller wineries, and was just a very cute little winery. Next, Dennis and I went to Lalibela, which is north of Addis. This is the airport that we landed there. We had an hour flight that would have taken us 2 days by bus. So obviously we chose the airplane route. You can see that very small airplanes come into this one. Here's ours, and we made it safely though. And there at the airport, they had a picture of King Lalibela, who is responsible for these rock-hewn churches. This area is very isolated. You can see it's pretty desolate. This is the dry season, but this was the roads that we traveled to get out to the area where these rock-hewn churches are. This next church is the most famous one. This is St. George. It's completely hewn out of rock. It's incredible. And that yellow is just the yellowing with algae over time. This is a priest. They had a service going on. This is the season of Lent, and he's in his ceremonial robes. And they were leaving. That's the cross. It's not actually the Lalibela cross, but a Orthodox cross. This was me sitting outside the Church of Golgotha, and then here is inside. I wasn't allowed into that inner part, only men, but that is one of the apostles as a carving. This is Bet Mehen, one of the 11 churches that has 34 columns hewn out of the rock. These are the tombs of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or the representation thereof. This next is a church, but they actually think was a fortress. As you look at it, you can see that it's built very differently than the others. You enter it from up high, and it has a walkway across what appears to be a moat. And here's a picture of me standing at the top. This is St. Gabriel, St. Raphael Archangel Church, and it's still active, but it certainly appears to be more of a fortress. This church is Bet Emmanuel. It has 2 floors, so that is unique with a spiral staircase. This is Bet Mariam, which is the Church of the Virgin Mary. It has this painting inside. You can see the Virgin Mary with King Lalibela. It also had mosaics. It was the only church to have mosaics inside, and was very beautifully decorated. This next are some of the caves, walkways, steps that I climbed through as I did basically 90 flights of steps that day as I walked through. Had to be kind of careful, but it was certainly worth the view. This is the Church of Libanos, who is the saint of the monastic order. Here's just a view from there when I got to the top, and showing the town as we overlook it from the church. Our trip to Ethiopia was an amazing journey. These last few pictures show some of the housing, the people of that area. Yes, it is a third world country, but it still has much to offer through religious and historical sites. The people are extremely friendly. We had a wonderful time there, learned a lot, just met people that went out of their way to be helpful, just saw what another country, actually another continent for us, was like. And so as this video draws to a close, thank you for watching it. It's much too long according to Barb, but we still appreciate it that you watched it, and we had a fabulous time and hope to go back again sometime.